Hello, and welcome back to Daily English Talk. I'm Emily, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. If you're listening right now, maybe you're at home, maybe you're walking somewhere, maybe you're tired after a long day, or maybe you just want to feel a little more motivated and calm. Wherever you are, take a deep breath with me. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You're here, and that already matters. Today I want to talk about motivation, but not the loud, aggressive kind of motivation where someone tells you to work harder, wake up earlier, or change your whole life in one day. I want to talk about real, quiet motivation, the kind that helps you keep going even when you feel tired, unsure, or slow. And of course, we'll do this in simple, natural English, the kind people really use in daily life. I want to start by sharing something personal. When I was learning new skills in my life, including languages, I often felt unmotivated, not because I was lazy, but because I compared myself to others. I would see people who were fluent, confident, and fast, and I would think, why am I so slow? Why do I forget things? Why is this hard for me? Maybe you feel this way too when you learn English. You listen to someone speak easily, and inside you think, I will never speak like that. If you've had that thought, you are not alone. I've had it many times. Motivation is not something you wake up with every morning. Some days you feel excited, and some days you feel empty. For example, there are mornings when I wake up full of energy. I make coffee, I sit by the window, and I feel like today is a good day. On those days, everything feels easier. But there are also mornings when I wake up and feel heavy. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think. I just want the day to be over. And that is normal. Real life is like that. Motivation goes up and down. In English, we often say, I don't feel motivated today. That sentence is very common. We also say, I feel stuck, or I feel lost, or I don't know what to do next. These are not big dramatic sentences. They are quiet, honest sentences people use when they talk about their inner life. And learning how to say these things in English is important. Because language is not only about travel or work, it's also about expressing how you feel inside. I remember a time in my life when I was trying to change too many things at once. I wanted to be healthier, more productive, more confident, and of course, better at everything I was doing. I made big plans. I wrote lists. I promised myself I would do everything perfectly. And then, after a few weeks, I felt exhausted. I stopped. I felt guilty. I told myself, you failed again. Maybe you've done something similar. Maybe you started learning English with a lot of energy, and then one day you stopped, and now you feel bad about it. Here is something important I learned, and I want to share it with you in very simple words. Motivation does not come before action. Motivation comes after action. This means you don't wait until you feel motivated. You start with something small, and then motivation slowly appears. For example, you don't wait until you feel excited to listen to English. You listen for 5 minutes, and then you feel a little better. That feeling is motivation. In daily English, we often say, just start small. It's a very common phrase. When people feel overwhelmed, others say, just start small. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now, with something easy. For English learners, this could be listening to one podcast episode, reading a short text, or even just thinking in English while you make tea or coffee. These small moments matter more than big plans. I want to tell you about a student I once spoke to. She told me she felt shy speaking English because she was afraid of making mistakes. She said, when I speak, my mind goes blank. That phrase, my mind goes blank, means you forget everything. It's very common. Many people feel this way. I asked her, do you speak perfectly in your own language all the time? She laughed and said, of course not. And that was the moment she understood something important. English is not about being perfect. It's about being human. When native speakers talk, we make mistakes too. We forget words. We change sentences in the middle. We say, you know. These are natural sounds. If you listen to real conversations, not textbooks, you will hear this all the time. So when you feel unmotivated because you think your English is not good enough, remember this. Real English is not perfect English. Sometimes motivation comes from imagining your future self. In English, we often say, I see myself doing something. For example, I see myself speaking English confidently. Or, I see myself living abroad. Or, I see myself having a better job. When I imagine my future, I don't imagine perfection. I imagine calm. I imagine feeling comfortable. I imagine not being afraid to speak. That image helps me when I feel tired. But motivation can also come from the present moment, from small things, from noticing progress. Maybe today you understand more than yesterday. Maybe today you recognized a phrase you heard before. These moments are easy to ignore, but they are very important. In English, we say, give yourself credit. That means appreciate your effort. If you are listening to this podcast, you are already doing something good for yourself. There were times in my life when I felt completely unmotivated. I didn't want to move forward. I felt like everyone else was faster and better. During those times, I learned to talk to myself differently. Instead of saying, why am I like this? I started saying, I'm doing my best today. That sentence is very powerful. I'm doing my best today. Not forever, not perfectly, just today. Many people think motivation means always feeling positive, but that's not true. Motivation can exist even when you feel sad, tired, or unsure. You can still show up, you can still listen, you can still try. In English, we say, show up for yourself. It means do something for your own growth, even if it's small. I also want to talk about comparison, because it's one of the biggest motivation killers. When you compare your English journey to someone else's, you lose focus. Everyone has a different background, different time, different energy. Some people can study for hours. Some people can only study for 10 minutes. Both are okay. What matters is consistency, not speed. In real life, people don't talk about motivation in big speeches. They talk about it quietly. They say things like, I'm trying, or I'm working on it, or I'm taking it step by step. These phrases are very common, and they are honest. You don't need to say, I will change my life. You can say, I'm learning a little every day. As we continue, I want you to listen not like a student, but like a friend. You don't need to remember every word. Let the language wash over you. Let your brain relax. Motivation grows in calm spaces, not in pressure. And as I keep talking, I'll share more about my own ups and downs, about moments when I wanted to quit, and moments when I surprised myself by continuing, even when I thought I couldn't. When I think about motivation now, I understand it very differently than I did before. Before, I thought motivation was something strong and loud, like a fire that pushes you forward. But now I see motivation more like a quiet voice inside that says, keep going, even if today is slow. Especially when it comes to learning English or changing something in your life, loud motivation doesn't last long, but quiet motivation can stay with you for years. I want to tell you about a period in my life when I almost gave up on a goal that was very important to me. I won't go into all the details, but I remember feeling tired all the time. I felt like I was doing a lot, but nothing was really changing. Every day felt the same. In English, we often say, I'm stuck in a routine. That's exactly how I felt. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. No excitement, no progress, just routine. During that time, motivation didn't come from big dreams. It came from very simple questions. I started asking myself, what can I do today that feels a little better than yesterday? Not perfect, not impressive, just a little better. Some days, that meant going for a short walk. Some days, it meant listening to something inspiring. And some days, it meant doing nothing and allowing myself to rest without guilt. This is something many learners don't hear enough. Rest is part of progress. In everyday English, people say, I needed a break, or I needed to slow down. These are normal sentences, and they describe a very human need. If you are tired of English, it doesn't mean you are bad at it. It means your brain needs space. And when you come back, even slowly, you often understand more than before. I also want to talk about fear, because fear is often hidden behind a lack of motivation. fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding stupid, fear of not being understood. I felt this fear many times when speaking a foreign language myself. I remember ordering food and rehearsing the sentence in my head again and again. And then, when the moment came, I said something wrong. But you know what happened? Nothing bad. The person smiled. We figured it out. Life continued. This is an important lesson. Most people are kind. Most people don't judge your English as much as you think. In fact, many native speakers feel happy when someone is learning their language. They respect the effort. So when you feel unmotivated because you're afraid, try to remember that fear often lies to us. In daily conversations, motivation often shows up in small phrases. People say things like, "I'm getting there," or "It's a work in progress." These phrases are powerful because they accept imperfection. You don't say you're finished, you say you're moving. And movement, even slow movement, is life. Sometimes motivation comes from connection, from knowing you're not alone. When I started sharing my struggles honestly with others, I realized how many people felt the same way. People who looked confident also had doubts. People who seemed successful also felt lost sometimes. This helped me feel less pressure and more compassion for myself. If you're listening to this podcast, maybe English is not the only thing you're working on. Maybe you're also trying to change your habits, your career, or your mindset. Motivation works the same way everywhere. It grows when you are kind to yourself, when you allow yourself to be a beginner, when you stop asking, "Am I good enough?" and start asking, "Am I learning?" I often tell myself, progress is not a straight line. Some days you move forward, some days you move sideways, and some days you rest. All of these days count. In English, we say, "It all counts." Every small effort matters, even the ones you don't notice right away. I want you to imagine yourself a few months from now. Not perfect, not fluent like a movie character, just more comfortable, more relaxed, understanding more, speaking with less fear. That version of you is built from moments like this one, from listening, from staying, from not giving up when motivation feels low. And if today you feel motivated, that's wonderful. Use that energy gently. Don't burn yourself out. And if today you feel tired or unmotivated, that's okay too. Just being here, listening, is enough for today. Before we finish, I want to say something directly to you. If no one has told you this recently, let me say it now. You are capable of more than you think. You don't need to rush. You don't need to compare yourself. Your journey is your own, and it's allowed to be slow, quiet, and imperfect. If you enjoyed this conversation and you want to keep learning English in a calm, natural way, don't forget to subscribe to Daily English Talk. We talk about real life, real feelings, and real English, step by step, together. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.